Yeah, what's up, everybody? 1212 in the place to be. I am Frank Red. How y'all doing out there? This is another edition of In the Dungeon program, coming to you live. And hopefully you can feel my excitement coming through your computers in your ear, because if I'm not excited, then I am as good as Marlon Brando or Denzel Washington or whomever you think is your favorite actor, because I am very, very excited to do this program tonight for a lot of different reasons, and I'm going to get into it. But it's interesting because the focus of the show, and we'll talk a lot about the imminent NBA free agency, and I compiled a list of some of the top free agents and some of the the auxiliary players who I think are interesting, and no, they might not be stars, but they definitely contribute to success. For example, the Bruce Browns of the world. I don't think anybody saw Bruce Brown last year when the Denver Nuggets signed him and said, hey, that's the guy that's going to help them win a championship. I thought that he would go there and do Bruce Brown type things, but he did much more than that. He was an integral part in the Denver Nuggets winning the championship. So we're going to talk about some of those players as well. If you're listening for the first time, my name is Frank Red. What's up, everybody? How y'all feel out there? And this is the In the Dungeon program. You can hit me up at Big Frank Red on Twitter if you are not a member already. I have other social media, but I really don't use them at this point. I will eventually, but right now I'm choosing Twitter, and I like Twitter because I get a chance to engage on an intellectual level, and that's really what it's all about to me. Brian Glacier, what's up, my brother? How you doing? I'm doing very, very well, and I look forward to all of the interesting, insightful, and intelligent takes that you have on the world of sports. And we'll get into the NBA, among other things. But I think we have to start with a historic night in baseball. Domingo German, the first Dominican Republic baseball player in the history of the game to throw a perfect game. And ironically, he did it in Oakland. And as I was doing show prep, I started to think about, well, how many fans are out there? Is it 8,000? Is it 9,000, 10, 12, whatever the case? But what I started thinking about is those individuals, those loyal baseball fans. Hello, Vicky. How are you? Those baseball fans got an opportunity to see something that only 24 times has happened. It's only happened 24 times in the history of baseball. The first time in 24 years, 1999, was the last time someone threw a perfect game. And imagine the stories that those fans are going to have. Those 10,000, those 8,000, I don't know the number. But what a moment for the Oakland A fans to share among themselves, because those are real baseball fans. When you go out to that stadium on a Wednesday night, on the cusp of losing your team to another city, and you still show up, I want to marry an Oakland A's female fan. If I ever get married, I don't know. That might be past my time. I have no idea, but I'm open, But that level of loyalty, are you kidding me right now? You gotta love it. Fourth time in the history of the New York Yankees. Don Larson, David Wells, and Dave Cone. And now Domingo German joins that historic list. And got me thinking as I was doing show prep. And I mentioned show prep a lot. I'm going to tell you why. To engage with listeners, right? I love it. I love to, on a personal level, feel that I'm building a relationship with people. I'm learning about you. You're learning about me. And you're taking your precious time to check me out. There's no greater high than that. And I think as technology continues to evolve, and they could probably do it now in some respects, but having that one-on-one communication that terrestrial radio has is something that I really got into and I really admire. And I only see this format, this iteration of Sports Talk Radio becoming more and more standard, where you can comment on the chat and you can also share your thoughts verbally. I can't wait for that because Mark Graves, how you doing, fella? Thank you, man. Appreciate you. But I can't wait for that part of the process, that part of technology to become standard. Because I am just as interested in hearing about you and your opinions as you might be me. I don't know if all hosts feel that way, but I do. And one of the things that I wanted to do early on as I was starting to build this show back up is, and I talk about getting reps. You need to hear someone pontificate about a myriad of things for at least an hour. That's hard. The first time I did radio, and I said it before, but I looked over at the call box and nobody was there and nothing was ringing, and it was crickets, and I didn't have any more bad jokes to tell. I was frightened, man. I really was. But those listeners worked with me, and over a period of time, talking on the radio or talking to a listener became as fundamental as drinking a glass of water, man. You know, it's not hard for me. It's something that I'd love to do. I know how to do it. It jacks me up, all right? Tonight, doing show prep, I'm listening to Ryan Ruocco, right? Ryan Ruocco, who, I mean, what a career this young man is having. Literally the voice of the WNBA, does Brooklyn Nets games, and side gig. Oh yeah, I'm the play-by-play for the Yankees. I do stuff like that as well. And it got me thinking about the people who listen to this show, who are interested in doing some type of content creation. Because I didn't know it when I went to the university. I quickly found out, but I went to Fordham University in New York, right? And when I got there, it didn't take long, but I realized what a great broadcasting program they had. Now, I knew nothing about that coming out of high school, nothing at all. My goal was to get a basketball scholarship and go to college for free, get a great education, and that was it. But I found out that I loved radio. And as I reflect back on my college career, I wish that I had taken advantage more of WFUV, which is a 90,000 watt college radio station. Imagine that. One of the best in the country. I'm gonna give you some names of some people who have gone to Fordham University. Mike Breen, the voice of the NBA. Ryan Ruocco. Sparrow Ditas. Michael Kay, the voice of the New York Yankees. Yeah. All of these people went to Fordham. Bob Papa, the voice of the New York Football Giants. Bob and I were friendly. You know, we were good friends. I actually went on Bob's show. It was called One-on-One. I remember it. It was One-on-One. Yeah, Vince Lombardi went to Fordham as well. And the exercise facility that we all went to is called the Lombardi Center. But it got me thinking because as a person of color, as a black man, we often find ourselves in situations in universities where we are the first generation of college participants. And for a lot of us, it's survival. It really is. It is survival. And you kind of find your way, or not, or you come in there like gangbusters because you're really prepared for that opportunity and you are ready to go and you take full advantage of those opportunities that some of these great universities offer young people. I was not one of those people. I was the first person in my college to graduate from college in my immediate family. And it was a major challenge my first year. And over a period of time, I figured it out. I worked real hard. And as opposed to going into a literature class and thinking about, well, how can I pass this class? That became 3 or 4 on my list of objectives because I knew I was going to pass. All of a sudden, I had the opportunity to enjoy the experience of learning, of collaborating with my colleagues and my classmates and the professors and all that stuff. That's what it should be for everybody, but it's not like that for everybody. But I mention this because I want this program and this show to be something that you can learn from, man. And if you are adventurous and you have a desire to be a broadcaster and you are thinking about, going to college somewhere, think about Fordham. Think about Fordham. And I say that if you're in Northern California, obviously you got Stanford, you got Cal, you got San Jose State, you got Sac State, Santa Clara. There are a lot of great universities that have great college radio stations. Stanford has one of the best college radio stations. Cal is great. The great Larry Kruger went to Sac State. And there are many others, San Jose State as well. But if you are adventurous, you think you might want to go to the East Coast and you're looking for an excellent communications program that has a great college radio station, Fordham University might be the place for you. And I'll say this. I was thinking about this before I signed in. I said, if I had an opportunity to make a decision on what college I would go to again, for all things, academics, sports, building relationships, everything, what would I do? I would choose Fordham again. I really would. It was a great experience for me. And I know it's 3,000 miles away for a lot of folks, but you might want to consider it because it's top notch. And you look at some of the leaders in this industry, a lot of them have gone to Fordham. Notwithstanding Syracuse University, who I'm sure they believe that they're number one. All right, my man Brian Iglesias said the hardest radio show for me as a producer was Friday nights from 6 to 10 when no one calls, no guests wanted to join the show past 7. And you have to get creative and really learn about yourself. Wow. Brian Iglesias, that's awesome, dude. I'm gonna tell you why. Why not do your own self-reflection as opposed to paying a psychiatrist $100 or $200 an hour to do the same thing? So, yeah, I agree with you. But you know what, though? That's where you get better. And I think you know that. Maybe you were just the producers in a position at that particular time and maybe didn't have access to a live mic, but my producers always had access to the conversation. They could always chime in and bring a lot to whatever show I was doing. So, but I agree with you. It's tough, when you hear the crickets, it's definitely hard, no doubt about that. My name is Frank Red. This is the Inner Dungeon program. And hit me up at Big Frank Red. I love everybody out here who is chiming into the show. Bebop Jones, what's up, brother? Thank everybody. All right. So we kind of got into baseball. If you want to talk about baseball a little bit, we can do that as well. I'm going to bring up Shohei Ohtani a little later in the program because, I mean, it's like Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners, a mere bag of shells. I think we look at Shohei kind of like it's a mere bag of shells, what this guy's doing. And it's not. This dude is, he's Pat Mahomes, he's Steph Curry, minus the winning and the language barrier. And it shouldn't be that way. And I get there are some challenges that baseball has because of the language, but he appears to be engaging. I don't know if he's learning English. He doesn't have to, but it sure would help him if he cares in the United States, and certainly it would help baseball. It would take baseball to a whole nother level. Imagine if Shohei Ohtani was talking about some of his favorite bands, or some movies that he likes, or some of his hobbies outside of baseball. Can you imagine the level of engagement this guy could have with the millions of baseball fans out there that want to know more about him besides his greatness as a baseball player? Yeah, just won the baseball classic as well. Absolutely. My man Brian Iglesias said, I definitely had access to a live mic, but it's tough going through the 49ers QB situation for the millionth time. Yeah. I agree with you, Brian. I mean, to me, even that conversation that a lot of people are interested in, I'm not all that interested in it. And I'm going to tell you why, because they pick at these quarterbacks. And they just pick at them. They just pick at them. And before you know it, you're like, wow, that guy sucks. And he doesn't suck. The Trey Lances of the world. The Sam Donalds of the world. You know, the Purdy's. No, all these guys are good. I want Trey Lance to be traded so bad, and I think he would have been traded. The challenge with Trey Lance is he's not. The 49ers will not. They will never get the value back if and when they trade him. They're not. Accept it, face it, and there's probably about 10 to 15 to 20% of them collectively that still believes in the guy. I don't think they feel that he sucks or he's a bust, but they are clearly not on board in terms of whom they want to lead their team. Just based off, you can say based off production, Brock Purdy deserves to start. I have no problem with that. But me personally, and I'm not a quarterback guru, but I'm not convinced that Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Trey Lance. I'm not. Sam Darnold at his best, I think, is a hell of a quarterback. That's just me. I watched the last 6 or 7 games that Sam Darnold played with the Charlotte Panthers last year. Dude was lights out. He was balling. There's a reason why the 49ers couldn't wait to sign him. When he came into the league as a Jet, he was frightened. He had never been hit like that at USC. And you know what? When you start hitting these quarterbacks incessantly, they start dropping the football. So you got to protect those guys. You know what I'm saying? My man Jimmy Robinson said, perfect game today, Yankees. Yeah, we talked about Domingo German. And the 4th perfect game in the history of the New York Yankees, 24th in the history of baseball. So thank you, Jimmy, for chiming in. My man Brian says, if Ohtani was in LA, New York, or another big city, big time market besides LA, he would be on the front page of ESPN every night. I don't doubt that. And hello, San Francisco Giants. But I'm not even going to comment on how the Giants conduct their business anymore because I was flat out wrong. They have a way of doing things. It's not sexy, but no one can say that it's not effective. Even this new regime, they've gone to the playoff doing garbage tenure. They're building their young players, but they don't really have like a superstar, obviously. Shohei Ohtani would just be wow. I don't know if you can even quantify how big he would be in San Francisco. As big as our baseball fan base is, which includes the Asian population. I mean, come on, man. But in New York, he would be, come on, man. I mean, he would be gigantic in New York. Anywhere, like you said, Brian. I mean, you go to Chicago, he'd be big time. No question about that. I love watching him play. I really do. I also want to talk about the pending free agency in the NBA. So I compiled a list of some of the top players. I'm sure, you've heard these topics before in terms of where some of these players might go. I'm going to give you my thoughts on them. And I've also compiled a list of some auxiliary players that are not, superstars or anything, but they're very valuable. And I would open, and I would certainly like to hear your thoughts on, maybe a player evaluation that you want me to comment on, or maybe you have already done your due diligence and you have an idea of where you think a player might go or they should go. Bring that to the table as well. Love to hear your thoughts. But I'm going to start off with James Harden. People are killing James Harden right now. And the reality is, if you took James Harden's win-loss record over a 10-year period, and I'm not an analytical guy. I believe in analytics. It has a value. But I trust my eyes. That dude has done a lot of winning. All right? So for people to kind of always like beat him down to the point where he's just a guy, he's not just a guy. No, he isn't. He's not the same player he was 5 years ago, but he's still a very good player. And when I look at organizations and I look at the salary cap, I don't care how the pie is sliced up. The numbers are the numbers. I just want them to spend the money. Okay? Because if you think that the salary cap is commensurate with the profits that NBA teams make, I got some beachfront property to sell you in Anchorage, Alaska. All right? All right? Come on, man. It's a joke. Everybody's winning. Everybody's winning. So I'm all for players making as much money as they can make. Up to the salary cap, to the system. So I don't have a problem with Harden making top dollar. Not at all. I don't think I'd give him 4 years, but I'd give him 3. Because they're not winning the championship without him. They're not. Dan Coach Amelia, I agree with you. Harden will resign with Philadelphia. Russell Westbrook needs to stay in LA, close to his family, and play for the Clippers. And yeah, he's not going to make a lot of money with the Clippers. I'm not in his pocket. If making more money is his objective, then he'll do what he needs to do. But, I mean, the way that they embraced him last year, you know, the way that they kind of put up with his rambunctious style, I think it's a great place for him. My thoughts on Dame Lillard. Bebop Jones asked my thoughts on Dame Lillard. Dame is special to me because I've been watching Dame since he was in high school. And I'm good friends with his high school coach. And I think part of he wouldn't say it, his name is Orlando Watkins, is the head coach at Oakland High School. He wouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. I think part of the reason why Dame Lillard is as good as he is because of the excellent level of high school coaching that he received. He played for one of the best high school coaches in the country, in my opinion. Oakland High School, just this past year, won the California State title. And Dame Lillard was coached very hard in high school. Very hard. And he had great AAU coaching as well. So that edge that you see Dame Lillard play with, he's always had that. And, you know, there's always been a level of accountability that Dame lives by. And I think that propelled him to have the Hall of Fame career that he's having. Now, I don't think they're going to get it done in Portland. I mean, if Dame really wants to win a championship, I think he should go. I think that they should, you know, if they need to go out and get Michael Mann, the director of one of my favorite movies, Heat, of all time, and get Michael Mann to craft a really nice, emotional narrative that they can give to their fan base that makes sure that no one's at fault and everybody is hugging each other, then do it. But Portland is ready to go in a new direction. They have some really good young players. Scoot Henderson is going to be incredible. And Dame should be in a situation where he is challenging for a championship, if that's what he wants to do. Miami seems like an obvious fit, but I think Brooklyn is a place where he should also consider. I mean, can you imagine a team with Dame Lillard, kid from Villanova, and Cam Johnson? Help me out. You guys will help me out. I don't want to butcher his name, so I don't want to say it right now. You know what I'm talking about. But I think Brooklyn is a good spot for Dame, and certainly Miami. The problem with Miami is Portland, I don't think that they like Tyler Hero. They don't need Tyler Hero. Is Tyler Hero a better player than Simons? Oh yeah, Mikal Bridges. Thank you, Jimmy Robinson. Appreciate you, brother. I don't think Tyler Hero is definitively a better player than Simons. I don't even think he's better than Simons. So maybe if you got another team, a third team involved, then maybe they can work that out. But just to assume that Miami would send Tyler Hero and some other pieces to Portland, I'm not excited about that. I would be excited about Brooklyn sending Dinwiddie, some other parts that have expiring contracts, and a lot of those picks that Brooklyn got from Phoenix in the Kevin Durant deal. That would excite me more. Now you might look at those picks and say, well, Phoenix is going to be good. Yeah, but there's so much talent out there. If you do your work, and Portland now has, I think, one of the best scouting departments in all of the NBA. So I think that if Portland has a 20 to 25th pick, they value it probably like from 10 to 15. So that's what I would take a look at. But Miami is probably his desired destination. But we'll see what's up with Dame. Vicky says Joe likes to spend a lot of money. The Warriors penalized for wanting to be a great team and keep their players. Yeah. Joe spent a lot of money in the past, but those checks are getting larger. And we'll see what's up doing free agency. I don't think they need to spend a lot of money this year because I think that they smartly shored up some of the holes that they had. I think a lot of people don't necessarily believe this, but I think getting Chris Paul for basically 1 year is a great move. Chris Paul has never played 20 to 25 minutes in his NBA career. That's what he's going to probably average next year, about 25 minutes. He's going to play the second quarter, probably some of the third, and he's going to finish a lot of games. Particularly the last 5-6 minutes, he's going to play a lot. So he'll play somewhere maybe between 25 and 28 minutes a game. I think Chris Paul can be a very effective player under those guidelines. I also think he'll probably start somewhere between 15 and 25 games as well. So the Warriors will be a much more efficient team next year than they were last year. Trace Jackson, I think he's one of the top 5 steals of the draft. And yeah, he was drafted at 54th overall for the Washington Wizards. But this is my analysis. You have to equate him to PPJ, the Warriors' first-round pick from last year, because he was drafted 28th, right? 27, 28, and that's who Trace Jackson was traded for. So the Warriors think he's equal to the value of that pick, which is 28. So he was a first-round pick, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of NBA teams missed on Trace Jackson, in my opinion. I think the Warriors did a nice job. The first-round pick out of Santa Clara, Demzinski. It's going to take me a little while to work through that. I hope the young man's successful. I mean, that's all I can say. If you ask me, do I think he's a better player than Moses Moody going into his 3rd year? No, I don't think so. But I'm rooting like hell for him. So we'll see early on in the Summer League in Vegas if all that confidence, moxie, and obvious shooting ability can translate into something that the Warriors can use from a rookie in his first year. Ronnie Glacier says Dame can't have his cake and eat it too. Elaborate, Ryan. What do you mean by that? I think I could infer what you're saying, but give me a little more on what you mean by that. All right. Chris Middleton, I think, is going to go back to the Milwaukee Bucks, or I think culturally he fits in Sacramento also. If Sac wanted to get crazy, with the money, then I think he would probably have to consider Sacramento. But I think the odds are Chris Middleton is going to go back to Milwaukee. But from a cultural standpoint, I think he and the Sacramento Kings are a good marriage. Kyrie Irving. Kyrie's about the money, y'all. Let's be honest. Kyrie's going to go back to Dallas, and I'm sure there's a lot of successful arranged marriages out there. And there's probably some that are not so great. That's kind of what I think of when I think of Kyrie going to Dallas. They kind of need him, and he kind of needs them, and let's get together and see what works. But it doesn't seem like a love affair to me. It seems like a money affair. And Kyrie's spectacular. Dallas will win more games with him than without him. I thought last year was kind of an aberration where it just didn't work. I guess he and Luka, when they played together, they were 2-7 or some odd number. But I think Luka and Kyrie will be fine. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Kyle Kuzma. I think Kyle Kuzma is going to sign with the Washington Wizards, re-sign with them, or Sacramento. I think Sacramento is another place where culturally he can have success. Now, I've been tweeting about this, and I said that I would not pay Kyle Kuzma more than $25 million a year. Now, that statement in and of itself seems really weird. More than $25 million a year? But that's where we are in professional sports, particularly in the NBA. I think that's a good salary for him. I think he's a good player. Skilled three-point shooter. He's going to shoot somewhere between 35 and probably 38% from three. He's an above-average athlete. He's 6'10". Not a bad rebounder, not a phenomenal rebounder, not a phenomenal defensive player, but he's long. He's long, and he appears to be a pretty good teammate. So you could do a lot worse than having a front line of Domantas Sabonis, Kyle Kuzma, and Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, or Monk. That's a better team than they had last year. And maybe you get a chance to bring Harrison Barnes back. I don't think that Harrison Barnes should come back to Sac with his hat in his hand. I don't believe that. I think the guy had a damn good year last year. But I think probably somewhere between 12 and 15 million is reasonable for where he is at this point in his career. I mean, you look at Harrison Barnes and you think that, this guy is well past his prime. Do you know Harrison Barnes is only 31 years old? I looked that up and I was like, what? Only 31. So he still has a lot of basketball left. Draymond Green, I can't see Draymond going anywhere but back to the Golden State Warriors. I think there's so much more at stake in Draymond's post-playing career that I think it just all fits for him. All right, thank you for elaborating a little more, Brian. Brian says he wants to be the man, speaking of Damian Lillard, he wants to be the man in Portland. He wants what he deserves in terms of money. Yeah, he's making that. He wants to be loyal to Portland, yes. He wants to win a chip, and he knows he will never win a chip with the roster he has now. I agree with you. I totally agree. So, but I put the onus on the Portland Trailblazers. Why does Dame have to be the heavy, right? Everything you said is true, but why can't Portland just do what the Boston Celtics did? They knew they were going to take a hit by trading Marcus Smart, but they did it anyway. Why? Because they think that having Porzingis moving forward for more reasons than just what happens on the court is a better way for them to go. So from the Portland Trailblazers standpoint, they can be the heavy. Dame doesn't have to be the heavy. The problem with the Blazers is the ownership now. And Jimmy Robinson, what do you mean by that? I mean, is it not solid? They're still thinking about selling the team? Because I'm just trying to figure out how not having a stable ownership inhibits the management team from doing their jobs. I don't know if it does. Maybe it does. But I would love to have you kind of expound on that a little bit, because it's just basketball. You're still drafting players. I don't think that the ownership group had anything to do with them taking Scoot Henderson or taking Shaedon Sharpe last year, which was a ballsy move. And if you saw Shaedon Sharpe in the Summer League last year, you looked at him, you're like, you drafted who? But they knew what they were doing, because literally post 10 of 15, 20 games into the NBA season, you start to see Shaedon Sharpe emerge. You was like, oh, okay. Somebody knows what they're doing. They know how to evaluate talent. Jimmy Robinson said, since Paul Allen died, they don't want to go in the tax. It's kind of stupid, right? Isn't that stupid? It's Paul Allen's money. He's not even there. He's gone. R.I.P. And you don't want to go on the tax? Do you really love basketball? Do you really love the Portland Trailblazer fans? And I know his sister's running the show, right? And they're on the cusp of selling the team. By the way, let me digress a little bit. The 30 for 30 on Bill Walton and the Portland Trailblazers is one of the best 30 for 30s that ESPN's ever done. It's awesome. Bill Walton is one of the most interesting characters, I would say, that has ever played in the NBA. There's no doubt about that. Fred VanVleet. I think Fred has some options. I think OKC and moving Shea Gilgeous to the 2 would be something that I would strongly consider, and moving their defensive juggernaut to the bench as a 6th man. But Fred and OKC, I think, would be a solid move. It would help them quite a bit. I could see him going back to Toronto. I could see him going to Chicago in some type of signing trade deal. And I could see Fred going to Houston as well. So Fred VanVleet is going to get a bag. And he, among a lot of players, has a lot of options. Christian Wood, I don't think he really works in Dallas. I don't think he works in many organizations, to be honest. If you are trying to acquire somebody who really thinks the game on a high level, I don't think he does that. I think he is, he's just out there with his talent, doing the best job that he can do. But in terms of thinking the game, I think Christian Wood has a lot to be desired. With that said, I could see him going to Portland. I think Portland could be a spot for him just because he's just full of talent. And he's going to put some numbers up. It's not always going to look pretty. But I think that Christian Wood and the Portland Trailblazers might be a good match. Dylan Brooks, Sacramento Kings, Portland Trailblazers, and the Houston Rockets. The less he says, the more valuable he becomes. I think maybe his agent even told him that. Or somebody might have just said, yo, Dylan, just chill, dude. Stop making comments. We can get you more money. So those 3 teams, I think that you can help all of them. And keep your eye on that. Bruce Brown. I think Bruce Brown's going to re-sign with the Denver Nuggets. They got a lot of smart people there. He's integral to what they do, and I think he's going to run it back with those guys. My name is Frank Red, everybody. If you're just checking me out right now, this is In the Dungeon program. And if you're not a member of a subscriber of this station, hit the subscribe button. All right. I want to thank everybody out there who is helping me reach my goal of at least 100 subscribers. After we reach 100 subscribers, I will start to book some guests for this particular show. Until then, it's going to be me and you, and hopefully some thought-provoking commentary on a myriad of things. But if you like what you hear and you want to subscribe, I greatly appreciate it, all right? So thank you for that. If you're not following me now on Twitter, hit me up at BigFrankRed. And I'd like to follow back, all right? Cam Johnson, a member of the Brooklyn Nets now. I think he's going to get a good contract with Brooklyn, and he will re-sign there. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the auxiliary players. Players that are integral to winning, but are not primetime stars. Before I do that, I want to share my man Brian Iglesias' thoughts. Dame should be able to consistently be threats. Dame and the Portland Trailblazers should consistently be threats in the West with guys like Jeremy Grant, Nasir Little, Nurkic, Thibault, Cam Reddish, and Anthony Simons. I disagree with that, Brian. We saw that bunch last year, and I disagree. I think maybe by adding Scoot to that list, I also think that Chris Murray is going to find a way to get some minutes. Cam Reddish has the ability, but does he have the thirst for basketball all the time? I don't know. And the other thing is, how good a coach is Chauncey Billups? And you might be implying that he ain't that good, or he's not good enough. If you think the talent level is there, then the coach has to have some value in winning, right? So maybe with this personnel, with another coach, they got Scotty Brooks on that bench. Scotty Brooks is a hell of a coach. Scotty Brooks has won a lot of games, and I think ultimately, he's gonna be a head coach again. But I would like to see them. Well, I mean, people are talking about Zion Williamson for a second, but it's clear that he's not getting traded. They're not going to trade him right now. So you might have a point. You know, I just watched them last year under Chauncey's leadership, and I thought they were kind of stuck in the mud. So it'll be interesting to see Portland with Scoot out there, because I think that he's special. Thank you for your comment. Dante DiVincenzo, one of my favorite NBA players. He's an auxiliary guy. Some of his former teammates, Jalen Brunson and Hart, are talking him up as a potential acquisition of the New York Knicks, my favorite team. I wouldn't have a problem with that, because Dante DiVincenzo is one of those guys who just knows how to play. He knows how to figure it out. And to see those Villanova boys getting back together on the same team, all fighting, to be the best that they can be. I can live with that any day of the week. So I just want to see Dante get paid. Juan Toscano Anderson, the former Juan Anderson. I love Juan's energy, and I mean the fact that he was kind of a throw-in to the Utah Jazz last year, and he was able to get into the rotation, I think says a lot about him as a player. So I can see him re-signing in Utah. I would like to see the Warriors sign him. That dude defends his position at a high level, and he is a consummate pro, and I like him. He's from the Bay. I think he makes the Warriors better from the neck up. And if you're looking at a 14th, 15th man, I would like to see Juan on the team. Blake Griffin is another guy who I think could fit culturally with the Warriors. And I think that when he's had an opportunity to play, he's been decent. So Blake Griffin is another guy. And I think that he'll probably re-sign with Boston. He had a good year last year. The Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors are teams that I think might be right for Blake Griffin. Frank Kaminsky is a guy who fits in a lot of places, in my opinion. Phoenix Suns, Golden State Warriors, Sac Kings, or the Chicago Bulls. And I'm going to throw a name out that maybe some people know about, they don't really care about, but I like him a lot. I liked him since he was in college, won the national championship. Justice Winslow, to me, is a hell of a player. I would love to see Justice Winslow on the Golden State Warriors. I think he's terrific. Now, he had a tough knee injury, was out quite a bit last year as a member of the Portland Trailblazers, so I wouldn't sign him for more than the veterans minimum. And if he wanted to come to Golden State for a year and get right, and show the NBA community that he could still play because he's a young guy, I would like to see him potentially as a member of the Warriors. So those are some of the free agents that I'm going to throw out there. If you have any that you want to talk about, feel free to join in the program. All right? I want to give a shout out to the Tennessee State Tigers. I'm sure many of you have heard about this story, but it's interesting to me, and I'm excited about it. They are the first HBCU to offer hockey. And yeah, we're getting Jamaican bobsled vibes. I know everybody is, yep. But, I mean, what a wonderful decision. Culturally, that university is going to be able to go out around the world and look at young men who want to play hockey and offer them a great education in a unique environment, doing something that they love to do. There's going to be a lot of L's, but I think the exposure is going to be there, and I just think it's great to give those young men, whomever they are, the opportunity to play a sport that you obviously have not seen before in that environment. They would be the first HBCU to offer hockey. I think it's fantastic. And I think it's good marketing too. I think they'll be able to ultimately benefit from it in a lot of different ways. Now I'm going to talk about something that's a little more serious. Compared to last year, the NFL apparently has more than a few players who are going to be suspended for gambling. And this is a scarlet letter. This is, what no one wanted to think about when we saw the proliferation of gambling starting to make its way into professional sports. And in spite of all of the seminars, all of the narratives, to see NFL players, contemporaries, be suspended and lose money, there's still more than a few people out there gambling. And worst case scenario, you look at this, you go, well, what is the worst case scenario? It could be really bad. And it could be really bad, particularly in the NFL, for this reason. The NFL players, generally speaking, do not make a lot of money. There's so many guys making a minimum salary in the NFL. Now, what is it now? Some of you guys out there might know what it is. Is it $800,000 yet? I don't think it's $800,000. No way. $500,000? I mean, you're a 22-year-old. You're making $500,000. After taxes, maybe you're making $300,000. Maybe the first person in your family ever to have any money. I mean, that's nothing, comparatively speaking. Tell me more, Jimmy Robinson. Jimmy Robinson said, integrity of the game. What do you mean by that, integrity of the game? The breaking the integrity of the game? Gambling should not be associated with sports? Tell me more. I need to hear you expound on that thought. Because the NFL is all in. They are all in at this point. And when I think of these players are coming into the NFL potentially with gambling habits already. They might already have gambling habits. They might have been gambling before they went to college. We don't know. They might be gambling while they're in college. They probably are. NFL has to come down hard on the gambling cases to protect the integrity of the game. Haven't they done that already? I mean, you got the Players Association, so they're going to protect their players. I mean, we've had players miss entire seasons. The wide receiver from Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, who was a member of the Atlanta Falcons last year, is now on Jacksonville. He missed the whole season. That's enough to let me know that they mean business, right? So beyond these players missing the entire season, what else can they do? And even with that said, I mean, comparatively speaking, you might look at the numbers and say you're right. There's not a lot of players. No, but the ramifications of dirty pool in betting is big around the world. So I don't know how they're going to deal with this. I really don't. Because I think that there are habits. I think some of these players might be in deep so much that they might have a gambling problem. And I think that if you acknowledge that and address it, then maybe you can help to correct it or deal with it in the best possible way. But I'm not surprised. I thought that the NFL would have gambling issues with their players from the inception of these gambling organizations starting to sponsor professional sports. I don't see it happening in the NBA. I don't see that happening. Baseball, I don't know. But if ever there was a sport that I think it could happen, it's the NFL. And I think because the players are really not paid that well. So they could get caught up. They really could. The great Vicky Boone says the Raiders are in Las Vegas, gambling capital of the world. Yeah, they are. And there was an obvious connection between the Las Vegas Raiders and gambling that I think gave everybody pause. But so far, so good. You know, maybe they're so close to the fire that they are on top of things in ways that maybe some other organizations are not. I just hope that it doesn't happen again. It will. And I don't know what the ramifications are going to be. But this is one of those years where there's more than one or two players. I think we'll probably see that within the coming days. You know, you'll start hearing some names about who potentially might be suspended for the year because of gambling. But I mean, the NFL has always been cheap as far as I'm concerned in terms of what they pay their players, 1 through 53. You know, I mean, when you consider the amount of money the NFL makes, I don't know what the minimum salary is. Maybe somebody out there knows. But literally, if you are a free agent in the NFL, you make the team, your signing bonus is maybe like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, something like that. It's not a lot of money. You know, and most of these cats don't know a lot about financial literacy. A lot of people don't know a lot about financial literacy. It's been a process for myself, you know, to learn about money, how you manage it, because it's hard to acquire, right? It's hard to acquire, and it's easy to lose. It really is. Doesn't take a long time. Wow, Mark. The minimum salary is $750,000. Okay. I stand corrected. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So that kind of shakes my thinking a little bit. If you're getting $750,000 and you're going to gamble on anything, that's on you, man. There's no way in hell I would do that. Now, I mean, can you still have a career, Mark, if you know, went to your organization and said, listen, I might have a gambling problem, or I gambled in the past? I mean, will that jeopardize you having a career? Let's look at it from that angle. Because, I mean, maybe you'd be less likely to speak to it if you thought that would somehow hamper your ability to have a career. So I don't know, but that's another way to look at the scenario of gambling in professional sports. There's been rumblings, or not rumblings, but there's been talk about the New York Jets potentially being on Hard Knocks. They obviously don't want it, but can you think of any other team right now that you would want to have be on Hard Knocks more than the New York Jets? Imagine Aaron Rodgers talking about LSD, the cleansing, the physical cleansing and everything else that he does. I mean, I think that would be awesome. And they got a lot of good players. They have a lot of players that I would love to know on a personal level. But Aaron Rodgers would theoretically be the focus and the star of that particular season of Hard Knocks. I hope that they pick the Jets. And in spite of them not wanting to do it, I hope they pick the Jets anyway. But we'll see. KC Chiefs. I like listening to Travis Kelce talk. Also, you heard Travis Kelce talk to DeMar Chase about dissing his quarterback, Pat Mahomes. He said, talk your shit, pimp, but don't diss Pat Mahomes. Of all the NFL players that I would like to chill with for a weekend, I would say Travis Kelce. That dude just seems like a lot of fun. And that marriage of having fun, being an NFL player, and getting that work in, because I identify with getting that work in. To me, he's the guy. Looks like he's having a ball. And he's a 52nd highest paid player in the NFL. And know what he said? I like winning. And now he's still the third highest paid tight end in all of the NFL. But there's more than a few organizations out there that would pay him even more money than he's making now. I guess he'll be making almost $15 million a year, which is not chump change. But he could get more money out there. But he's like, I like winning. And at this stage of his career, he's already a Hall of Famer. 7-time 1,000-yard gainer. 7 seasons he's had over 1,000 yards. Travis Kelce is definitely one of the best of all time. And he's slowing down a little bit. He probably wouldn't admit it, but I think he is. But talk about having somebody's back. There's never been a time which he has not had Pat Mahomes back. So, love to hear him talk. That would be my second team that I would like to see on Hard Knocks. But the New York Jets would be number one as far as I'm concerned. I'm Frank Red, everybody. This is In the Dungeon program. We have eclipsed 1 hour of me talking to you and you chiming in. I really appreciate it. Just to kind of recap really, really quickly before we get out of here. This is a historic night in Major League Baseball. Domingo German of the New York Yankees became the 4th player in the history of the illustrious history of the New York Yankees to throw a perfect game. 11-0. The New York Yankees were victorious over the Oakland A's. And they did it in Oakland in front of that historic fan base. And bittersweet, they're losing their team, but at least if you wanted to encapsulate one memory for the season, I mean, gets no better than watching a perfect game. It's only been 24 in the history of baseball. SG Sports Talk channel. What's up, brother? How you doing? Some vet minimums I would love for the Warriors: Trey Lyles, Thomas Bryant, T.J. Warren. I like Thomas Bryant. Trey Lyles, I think, is going to get big money. Trey Lyles is going to get somebody's mid-level exception. Wouldn't surprise me if Trey Lyles went back to San Antonio, because I think money is an issue for him. T.J. Warren, I think T.J. Warren is done. I do, because I think when he was good, he relied on his athleticism quite a bit, and that is slowly but surely starting to erode. He's not really a shooter. Has a very high usage rate. He's not a catch-and-shoot guy. So I would say no on T.J. Warren for the Warriors. Like Thomas Bryant a lot. Like him. He would get minutes. He would make the Warriors better. And I see the Denver Nuggets probably trying to sign him just to keep him away from one of the Western Conference competitors, because this dude is a real player, as is Trey Lyles. The A's are one of the worst teams in baseball. Hello? Yes, they are. But let's give the players this credit, man. They play hard. Every night they show up and they play hard. I respect it. I respect their grind. They're not good. They play in front of an empty ballpark at home. I'm sure more than 50% of them can't stand the ownership group, but they got to play nice. So I give the players a lot of credit, because they're up against it. I mean, these are guys just happy to be in the major leagues, and they're looking at what's going on with the city of Oakland and their fans, and it has to piss them off just as much. Thoughts on A's moving to Vegas? It's tragedy. It's a sports tragedy. Figuratively, because it's no one's dying, all right? No one's going to miss a meal. They got mansions in Las Vegas. But I've always been a person who rooted for the fans. The less fortunate. If you've ever had an opportunity to go out and watch an A's game or go to an Oakland Raiders game, those are real people working out there. Those are aunts, uncles, grandparents, limping around sometimes, taking tickets, cleaning things up. When I think of those job opportunities that are being lost, that hurts me more than anything, because those are real people, those are real lives that have been affected by the A's leaving. And so I'm a casual baseball fan. I could seemingly become even more interested if I really respect it and I like the ownership group, but I don't. So I haven't had great interest, just because I think that you need to treat people well. And I don't think the A's have treated their fan base well at all. That's an understatement. But the people who depended on those part-time jobs, my heart goes out to them. I think that's the biggest downside of the A's going to Vegas, as far as I'm concerned. Frank, random question. How long do you think Popovich continues to coach? I think 2 more years. I think Pop likes to win. I think winning one more championship is something that he thirsts for. And I also think that he's going to take some time of finding out who should be his successor. So I think that takes time. He needs to see that process through, because with Victor Wembanyama, you're talking about a decade plus of excellence, and I think that he wants to make sure that when Pop steps aside, he feels comfortable with the person who is going to lead that organization. So I think 2 more years, man. You know, he want to see this team back in the playoffs. So you love my content, you love our content. That makes me feel good. I appreciate you, man. And hopefully the content is an indication of the work that I put in. Because if you ask me, beyond actually doing the show and talking to the listeners, what's most fun for me? It's the show prep. I love doing show prep. I love it. Because I'm gonna take you back to middle school, high school, college. There are different learning modalities. And I think that most people, if they're not successful students, it's because either they don't know how they learn, or knowledge has not been presented to them in a way that they learn best. I'm a visual learner, I know that, and I have an excellent memory. So when I do my show prep, if I write it down, I write everything down, right? I write everything down. Those stats that I write down, the stories in my language, I recite to my memory, I am ready to go. I'm ready to go. So if you like the content, I really appreciate that because it's a result of me doing show prep. All right, thank you. Brian Iglesias. I like Dennis Smith Jr., Alex Lynn, Derrick Jones Jr., vet minimum for the Warriors. Alex Lynn. I like Alex Lynn. Dennis Smith Jr. I like the fact that he finally figured it out. I do. But there's still a part of me that doesn't totally trust him to think that he's totally comfortable with being a backup point guard. But I'm happy that he has an NBA career because what a talent he is. And Derrick Jones Jr., I think he's pretty one-dimensional. I don't think he could play in a real sophisticated offense that the Warriors have. He doesn't pass very well, doesn't really dribble very well. He's kind of a standing shooter. He can make a shot. He's a good defender. But I'd rather have Juan Toscano Anderson than Derrick Jones Jr. But Alex Lynn, I think Zach's going to re-sign him. I think he's a hell of a player. I think he's really good. You are a very humble person who always keeps it real. I try. Oakland will become a ghost town after the A's league. Yeah, man. It's tough. It is really tough. It really is. What was your reason behind naming the Truth in the Dungeon show? Oh, okay. Over 10 years ago, I used to host a show up in Sacramento on the mighty KHTK 1140. That is the Sacramento Kings home station. And, you know, I'm a hip hop head. I'm a hip hop artist, you know, and it sounds, it might sound arrogant, highfalutin. I think of some other adjectives as well. But I'm the first person in the country who conceived a marriage between sports talk and hip hop music. I had the first show in the country that synthesized those two elements. And I made a demo tape, and I took it into a radio station in Sacramento. And the great Tony Cox listened to the tape over the weekend. And on the tape, I had mock interviews with Dusty Baker and Tyrone Willingham. That's a high-powered demo. But somehow, some way, I had built some relationships with those two wonderful gentlemen. And I gave the tape to Tony Cox on a Friday. I went back on a Monday. And he opened up his desk drawer and he had like 100 tapes of demos of people who wanted to do shows on the station that he was a program director of the station KMJI, I think it was called. This is before 1140. And he held my tape up and he said, you know what? None of these tapes have what you have on your tape. And I just froze. You know, like when you get a good grade on your test or something like that, and you're just like, wow, I can't believe I did that. So I said I wanted to create a show that was grimy, that was totally different than anything that had ever been done. And I said, well, nobody wants to go in a dungeon. And I was like, I want listeners to be locked in a dungeon. So that's kind of how I came up with the name, In the Dungeon Show. And hip hop, you want to be a little different in terms of how you spell things and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I created it. Made a little spark on that station, and ultimately got an opportunity on KHTK 1140. Literally started at the bottom, and within I think 2 or 3 years, I was number one. And I was number one for probably about 10 years. In my, top 5, number one, top 5. But it was a very popular show, I'll just say that. And I had total control. Mike Ramey, my program director, never said one word to me beyond show up to work on time and don't embarrass us. And I wasn't going to be late because I loved the show. And I am who I am. So it was a match made in heaven. Hopefully I answered your question. Brian Iglesias, the team moving to Vegas should rebrand. There is too much history with the A's in Oakland. Move to Vegas, but leave the door open for an expansion team to locate to Oakland. I totally agree with you. You know, it's analogous to the Baltimore Ravens starting anew in Baltimore after leaving from Cleveland. I totally agree with you. The name should stay in Oakland. Totally agree. Hello, Vicky. Can you play Make You Feel at the end of your show? Love the song so much. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Vicky. I really appreciate that. Man, I can try. I don't really, that part of the technology I'm not quite down. I don't know how to do that yet. I know Larry knows how to do it, but let me try. I'll try. SG, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not going to post that, but thank you. I appreciate it, bro. You should do a call-in show. I think we're going to get there with the technology. I think we are. And there's a way to actually do it now with video phones and stuff like that. And so we're getting close. We are getting close to that. And I personally like to engage with listeners. I do. I think sometimes about Remix Channel. Let me get you up there, brother. Or sister. Or they. I'm not quite sure. Remix Channel. Who's your favorite producer? Man. DJ Premier. I got so many stories. I got a DJ Premier story. Check this out. I got a DJ Premier. I got a Gangstar story. All right. So I'm at a music conference, and so I see DJ Premier. For those who don't know, DJ Premier is one of the top hip hop producers in history. And I think he's going to be in the I think he'll be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Maybe the first rapper. Well, I guess Flash is already in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if Flash is in as an individual, but I think DJ Premier is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the top hip hop producers of all time. Here's a story. I'm at a music conference and I go up to DJ Premier and I say, "Yo, I'm a big fan of yours. My name is Frank Red, and I would love to work with you." Right? Now, Gang Starr, create a context. Gang Starr's one of their biggest markets was Northern California. The Bay Area, Sacramento, all over. Gang Starr was big in Northern California. They sold a ton of records in Northern Cal, particularly the Bay. And so, after I finished telling him how much I admired him, he said, "Yo," he goes, "I'm gonna be real honest with you." He goes, "I'm booked up for the next 2 to 3 years." With a straight face, he said, "Yo, I'm booked up for the next 2 or 3 years. There's no way I'm gonna be able to work with you. But that doesn't mean that you're not dope. It doesn't mean that you can't make it in this industry." He goes, "What I suggest that you do is just to keep working, keep plugging, and never give up on your dream." This is what DJ Premier told me. Like a year or two later, I'm doing a showcase somewhere in the Bay. And Gang Starr, I guess they were going to perform the next night or whatever. They knew somebody. They come to the showcase. So I do the showcase, and I did all right. So Guru, R.I.P., one of my favorite rappers. Can you imagine this? One of my favorite rappers. He comes up to me. He goes, "Yo, man, I think you're dope." Right? He goes, "Yo, I really like what you do." This is when people carry business cards. He takes out a business card. He goes, "Yo, I want you to call my manager." At the time, Gang Starr was being managed by Empire Management. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm on cloud 9 at this point. I'm like, I can't believe this just happened. So I took the card and I called maybe a couple of times, left a couple of messages, and never heard anything back. But I didn't need to. The fact that somebody who I respected that much and had acknowledged me as an artist was all I needed. And that's my Gang Starr story. Bebop Jones, you should grow a beard. Yo, you know what? Thank you for your advice. But beards make me itch, man. I mean, when I travel overseas and I'm hanging out by a beach or something, then I just let it rip, But thank you, I appreciate it. Eminem or 50 Cent? I'm gonna go with Eminem, and only because I had a cool little hangout with Eminem for about 15 minutes, and it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had in this industry. So I'm gonna always ride with Eminem. He is so misunderstood. You talk about loyalty, you talk about being loyal. I guarantee you everybody in Eminem's camp eats very, very well. This dude is very loyal, and he could not have been more professional. He was funny too, and more nice. When I met him and hung out with him a little bit, give a shout out to my man Kevin Cap Cool Breeze, who used to have a show on Stanford University's college radio station back in the day, and it was called The Drum. And Kevin and I were friends, and drive down there and kind of check his show out just before I got started, really. And he had all these big time guests that would come through. And Eminem came through with his manager. I can't think of his name right now. Real big time dude. And I used to interview artists after he finished interviewing them for my show, my potential show. And I mean, literally everything was hanging in the balance at that point for Eminem. It was the start of his career. We didn't know anything about his home life, his daughter, everything that he had dealt with. And I reflect on that sometimes because it helps me really take solace in what's important to me and the good things. Because people think that this guy is just kind of like this raging lunatic, and he is nothing like that. He could not have been more professional and more giving in a moment when everything was hanging in the balance for him in his career. And yeah, I will never forget that. That was definitely a moment. Best live sporting performance you've been to? Wow, okay. I'll say Game 7, Sacramento Kings, LA Lakers. Was that 2003, 2004? I don't remember. That was Game 7, the game the Lakers beat the Kings on the road, when Shaquille O'Neal made 4 free throws in a row to clinch that game. That was a moment. One that I will never forget. It was awesome. I mean, everybody thought that they literally were on the cusp of the Sacramento Kings dethroning the Lakers. And the Kings would have won the championship that year. What a great team. I mean, I put that Kings team up against any team today. I mean, who do you think will win? The Denver Nuggets team or Vlade Divac, Peja Stojakovic, Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, and Doug Christie? I'm taking the Kings all day. I'm taking that team all day. You know? Listen, that team against the Warriors would have been incredible. That series, people don't talk about that Kings team the way they need to. That team was incredible. I love Draymond Green. Love him. Love everything about Draymond. Draymond can't check Chris Webber. Cannot check Chris Webber. You know, for all you youngins, oh, that was crazy. Ronnie Glacier says Clay 37-point quarter against the Kings. that was nuts. I mean, you know what, Brian? That's why it's so crazy to me when people say that they want to trade Clay. I'm like, wait a minute. You want to trade one of God's apostles? You want to trade God's right-hand man? Are you kidding me right now? Game 6 Clay? What? Coming off of 2 serious knee injuries? And you want the unmitigated gall to think that you want to trade Klay Thompson. What? You know how impactful Klay Thompson is? You could be the most average guy in the world. Let's go on the premise that you're a nice guy. But beyond that, you're pretty average. And you went to the Warriors game on that night when Klay had 37 and a quarter, and you proposed to the girl of your dreams. She's saying yes. She's not saying no on that night. How many marriages you think Klay Thompson is responsible for that particular night? Can you imagine being there that night? Come on, man. You want to trade Klay Thompson? No way. I love the song Lose Yourself by Eminem. Featured in the movie. Oh yeah, it's awesome. That's one of the songs that I listen to a lot, Lose Yourself. And the other song I listen to when I need to be inspired is Nas's One Mic. Those two songs are and there's a song by DJ Drama, I don't know if you know him or not, Waiting for My Moment. Those three songs I listen to a lot. I listen to those three songs. Lose Yourself, Nas's song called One Mic, and DJ Drama's called Waiting for My Moment, featuring Meek Mill. Meek Mill was the lead rapper on that. Those three songs are very, very important to me for the same reason. They all embody that spirit of aspiring to accomplish something. And Eminem has so many of those types of songs. I mean, one of, obviously Stan is a great song, but I love Guts Over Fear, another Eminem song. I love it. Guts Over Fear, Make Me Smile. Talk about a Hall of Famer. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The sporting performance I will never forget is Steph Curry broke Ray Allen's three-point record at MSG. Yes. Yes. My city, my town, my arena. I played at Madison Square Garden before in my life on more than a few occasions. I played against North Carolina at Madison Square Garden. I played against Notre Dame at Madison Square Garden. I played against St. John's at Madison Square Garden. Yeah. So I can only imagine that place was rocking, man. Frank, you look really great bald. Thank you. Sounds like something my mom would say. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Rich Kelts Live. Have you ever seen three core players start and finish their career at the same time on the same team? I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. I actually tweeted about that earlier today. That's why I think that but I think this is the last year. In all of the, hysteria and everything we're talking about involving the Warriors' historic Big Three. That's why I think it's really, really important for Klay to work with the Warriors this offseason and sign an extension that gives the Warriors more leeway. I'm not in his pocket, but I think a 3-year deal at $90 million, he and Draymond, somewhere around there, works. Because $43 million at this stage, to me, is not realistic. I would love to see those three guys win another championship and then go out and move on at the same time. I would love to see that. Because, 4 championships is unreal. But 5, to have all these different iterations of the Warriors would be fabulous, man. Unthinkable. The San Antonio Spurs have 5 championships. So I think the Warriors would really differentiate themselves from a lot of people, from a lot of organizations. And hopefully, it's not unfathomable. A lot of people are down on this Chris Paul. Listen, Chris Paul is one of the all-time great competitors in the history of the NBA, in the history of sports. So, I'm excited. I really am. Can't wait for the NFL season. I think you, me, and everybody else, We love it. The NFL is a juggernaut. It really is. Thoughts on Poole to the Washington Wizards? I have no hate. I have no animosity. I have no ill feelings towards Jordan Poole. I want that young man to be as successful as he wants to be. He had to go. We're all responsible for our words. And, that punch by Draymond Green should have never happened. But I think that, he has to have some accountability for it not working here, particularly on the basketball court. He's a talented dude. Had those events not happened, he was not getting that contract. No way. But I'm glad that he did get the contract. He's set for life, and he's going to lose a lot of games in Washington. And he has an opportunity now to, again, exhibit leadership and resurrect that organization. Because it's not like he hasn't been around great leaders or an incredible organization as a member of the Golden State Warriors. So I'm hoping that he's a hit in Washington. He should average at least 25 points a game next year. Hopefully shooting around 45% or higher from the field, which would be a godsend for him. So I'm hoping the best for Jordan Poole. How many years does Steph have? Do you like the way MDJ is moving so far? MDJ, who's that? Help me out. I think Steph got another 3 years. I think he has another 3 high quality years, particularly with Chris Paul coming this year. I think that's going to help him out a lot. Someone had also asked me about Brian. I don't want to butcher this guy's name. From Santa Clara. Subzinski? It's going to take me a minute. Green going to stay at Warrior. I hope so. I don't want to see him go anywhere. Mike Dunleavy Jr. Thank you. Appreciate it. My bad. Again, man, I root for people to win. I'm never going to root for people to not do well. I think Dunleavy Jr. knew getting into this position, he was not going to have total autonomy. He doesn't have total autonomy. Joe Lacob, Larry Harris, Lacob's sons. I believe in collaboration. I do. But I also believe that, you need to be in a position to do the job, whatever the job is. And I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that when it goes well, someone else might get the credit. But if it doesn't go well, then they're going to be on him. So far, so good. I really like the Trace Jackson signing. I like the fact that Mike Dunleavy Jr. felt comfortable jettisoning many of Bob Myers' draft picks over the past couple of years and was like, it's not working. So he got rid of those guys and he's bringing in his own guys. So hopefully the draft pick works. Hopefully Brian's a great player and it all works together. But so far so good. So far so good. All right. Now, Big King, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload my song to my bank of music, and I'll be able to play it the next time I do a show. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it now, and I apologize for that. But the fact that you like the song means a lot to me, and I will play it the next time. If you have not subscribed to this show and you like what you're hearing, hit the subscribe button. It definitely helps the show. And if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at Big Frank Red. And I will follow you back. We've been on air now probably longer than I thought we were going to be on air. But the show, and I'm doing the show. So I'm thinking, doing the show, and listening all at the same time. I thought the show was outstanding. I thought it was awesome. The engaging questions that you guys were asking and just kind of stimulating me, to think about stuff, I thought was outstanding. So I want to thank y'all. Really, really good show. Can we collab for a Warrior game at the start of a season? Sure. In what way? I don't know how you want to do it. Let me know what you want to do. I'm down. All right. I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to get out of here. But I want to thank everybody once again for joining me. You know what to do. Thanks, Shannon Sharp. Hit the subscribe button if you like the show. Follow me at Big Frank Red. All right? Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. Until the next time, peace. I'm out.